Hi there. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making molasses cookies, and I have all of my ingredients pre-measured and ready to go. So I have a large bowl, and in that bowl I'm going to put 1.5 cups of sugar, and 1 cup of shortening. Now, regular shortening can work. I like to use Crisco butter flavor sticks. 1 stick equals exactly 1 cup of shortening. Makes it easier. You don't have to get a measuring cup dirty. And we'll just get the rest of the shortening off. I have a very tiny kitchen and a very tiny oven, but they still both work very well for cooking. Now the next step is to use an electric mixer, and we're going to beat the shortening and the sugar for 4 minutes until it's light and creamy. So I'm going to set my timer and get going for 4 minutes. Twice?
Yeah.
Next, we're going to add 1 cup of molasses to our creamed together sugar and shortening. And we're going to add 2 eggs. If you're concerned about getting eggshell into your cookie dough, you can always crack your eggs into a separate bowl before you add them to your mixing bowl. Now we're going to Okay, our eggs, molasses, shortening, and sugar are all very thoroughly mixed. Now it's time to go to our next step. We're going to sift together our dry ingredients. We have 4 cups of flour, this recipe makes a lot of cookies, but it is a family favorite, so extra cookies are a good thing because they disappear quickly. I'm doing a little bit of the flour at a time because 4 cups is too much to fit into my sifter by itself. We're also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 4 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Now we'll sift this into the bowl. Did about half. Now, sifting your flour and your spices gets any lumps or hard pieces out and helps your flour and dry ingredients to blend better into your wet ingredients. There's that rest of the flour. I'm going to mix this first half on low. Now we'll sift in the remaining flour and spices. You can see how there's a little lump in there that we don't want that to be in our mix, so we want to make sure that it's made smaller going through the sifter. And there's a little bit of spice and flour on our plate. Doesn't matter how big your kitchen is, it just matters that your hair is up so you're not getting hair into the food that you're making, that your hands are clean, and if your kitchen is clean and organized and you use good ingredients and follow the recipe instructions, you should have no trouble baking or cooking at all. I'm making these cookies today for my father-in-law. He is in his 80s, and it is was his birthday yesterday, and my husband and I will be visiting with him this weekend. These are his favorite cookies, so if I bring him a large container of these, he will be very happy. So now I'm just making sure that all the little bits got mixed together. You can see that the dough is a bit sticky. It would be difficult to handle at this point. So this recipe, after you mix the dough, it needs to be placed in the refrigerator for an hour. So I have some special plastic wrap here, and we'll cover the bowl. We want the cookie dough to become firm enough to handle, but we don't want it just open to the air in the refrigerator so that it gets hard. So firm but not hard, and that's the first step towards making molasses cookies. Well, we refrigerated our dough. Now it's firm enough to handle. And we have some raw sugar, also called turbinado sugar, in a little bowl here. And that raw sugar is not the same as brown sugar for baking. So here's brown sugar, here's the raw sugar. So we're not rolling the cookies in brown sugar. And if you cannot get turbinado or raw sugar, you can use white sugar to roll your cookies in. So we're going to take a small ball of dough and we're going to roll it in the sugar. I've already started here. And we want to put the cookies about 2 inches apart so that they don't touch each other while cooking. This recipe makes a lot of cookies, about 9 dozen cookies. They bake in a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. And our timer just went off, which means we have some cookies ready to come out. You can see that I put 2 of these cookies too close together so they're touching. When they come out of the oven, they're still very soft. So they need to sit for 10 minutes on the cookie sheet. And as they sit, they get a little bit harder or firmer. I'm setting my timer for my second tray of cookies. So these will sit for 10 minutes. After they have sat for 10 minutes, we'll take them off of the cookie sheet and put them onto the cooling rack to finish cooling. And here's a finished cookie. You may notice on the cookie sheets there's paper underneath the cookies. That's a special baking paper called parchment paper. You can use that for any cake or cookies that you're baking, and that keeps them from burning too much on the bottom and from sticking to the pan. If you don't have parchment paper, you can use aluminum foil for this recipe, and that also will help with sticking. We don't grease the paper or the aluminum foil at all. There's enough shortening inside the cookie that we don't need to do that. Okay, we're going to let these cool and finish out our baking. I hope you've enjoyed this little display on making molasses cookies, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you for watching.